Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel where we are looking at the One Family, our tutorial on the Five of Wands tonight. So, hope you're ready for this one. This is one of those cards that people go, ooh, what does this mean? So, before we actually jump in, I'm going to share with you our link. So if you do want to actually come on, feel free to do so. Let me just post that now. There you go. So if you want to come on and be a guest and talk about this card, you're more than welcome to do so. But it is a tutorial that I've got a lot to say. So if you want to sit back and just relax and listen, that's just fine. But do say hi. It's always lovely to have your company and know that you are watching. So let's just show you the link before we get started, and then we can dive right in. So welcome everybody. Five of Wands, a difficult card to be able to explain as a reader when it comes up in a reading. What does it mean? What do we say? Let's start with its numerological value, 5. The number 5, it's about battles, it's about truth, it's about analysis and communication. And it's a card of feeling as if everything is going wrong. Don't forget your suit now, it's wands, so it's a physical feeling. It's not an emotional one, it's not a mental one, and it's not something that's manifested. It's the actions around us that we are taking, or the involvement, in this case, of other people. So it may feel that you are at odds with your ideas or others, and you're feeling that others are disagreeing with your wishes, leaving you frustrated as events get held up and setbacks are guaranteed. Mock battles. All situations can be resolved. It's just a matter of talking it over with other people and not ignoring what's in their minds. And it's a time for patience. You need to be aware that hold-ups will be resolved and need to be debated rather than go into arguments. And the Five of Wands shows a time where wires are definitely crossed in communication and resulting in trivial, petty annoyances and silly arguments that can go into almost physical actions. So it's the actions we take based on these arguments. And although these problems can be difficult and troublesome, they will lead to passing quickly because decisions are met and the alternative and differing views of others will leave you feeling very frustrated. It's about having feelings that nothing's going right when this card appears and time's being wasted, and that you feel that you are in the pursuit of meaningless disagreements. It's simply the views of others slowing us down as they wish to debate or add their viewpoint to the melting pot. So there is little or no cooperation within this group that we see with these figures in. No permanent damage will be done as issues are deliberated or even debated. It's about airing feelings. And you may be left wishing a decision could be made to get things moving, as a curveball puts things, all your plans and all your ideas, out of stride. So this is a card that it's a reminder that you're not alone, but what you often wish for can involve others, and that they will want their say in how things are done and how time is spent. So it's about having faith in your position, but sometimes it can be quicker to listen to others and brainstorm a situation. So I'm going to put some keywords up here for you, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper. Any questions, anybody, please put them on the screen. But now let's look at some keywords as to what this means. So, a card of competition, egos, battles. With the 5 influencing the element of fire, battles can range from minor skirmishes to all-out war at the flick of a coin or the roll of a dice. A lot of energy is built up, you see, and this needs to be released. So we have a group of 5 young figures brandishing wands or sticks in their hands, and it's unclear as to whether they're going to use them as weapons for battles or sport. This scene presents to us that of chaos, either organised or disorganised, depending on the aim of the individuals involved. Hello, passionate Saji. This is a card and a half, isn't it? The 5 of Wands, what do we say? Well, let's work out the imagery in the card and the meanings, and then we can kind of go, yeah, just as those keywords said, it is about mock battles, but they're physical, they're actions, they're getting involved. It's not just what we say, it's the effect and the actions that are taken as a result of this conflict. So these figures in this card appear to be fully engaged in this rowdy activity. And at first glance, it looks a bit dangerous, as if the situation has completely gotten out of control. However, when we examine the individuals' faces, we find that neither anger or malice, but rather passion and determination is on their faces. They might even be enjoying themselves. We don't know. But there's an impression of noise and boisterousness as the ones make contact and clash with each other. No one's directly hit with the sticks, look at that, even though it might first appear that way. Unlike the 5 swords, there's no injuries, no blood, no bodies scattered on the ground. Wow, you like this card. Good. It's actually about disruption. It really is. It's about disrupting things and letting people have their say and realising that we've got to work as a collective. So there we go. So these skirmishes symbolically represent battles of our daily life or our inherited human conditioning. Because life is constantly throwing curveballs, sticks, wands, whichever you want to say, at us. So we either run for cover or we come out fighting, don't we? And the 5 figures have decided to stand up and fight in this card. So we can determine that they're not engaged in mortal combat, but what else might they be up to? Absolutely right. Competition. And if we look at the faces of these figures, they're not looking where they're going, or they're too caught up in their own agendas to notice or care about any of the others. So they move around like busy bees, and there's a sense of urgency and haste in their mad running around. Could this be a challenge that must be completed in a set period of time? Are they under stress for that? Do the 5 figures work independently, or are they part of some sort of team? Yeah, it's all about battle. It really is. Sorry, I want to bring that up. And if we look in this card, there's a distinct absence of leadership. So this could be competition or a race of some sort where every man's in it for himself, out for what they can get or what they can achieve. They might be seeking the same outcome, but it might be in very limited supply. So the first man over the finish line will secure it. So there's no time to dawdle. If we look, no one is project managing this frenzied activity, so anything might happen with such fiery energy flying in all directions. Perhaps we're looking at an organised team who might have a last-minute task or a project to complete. And there is no time to prepare or delegate. It might be all hands to the deck and everyone intent on getting on with their own job. So this might be organised chaos that we're observing. The ones might have a collective purpose rather than how they are individually represented in this imagery. So we've been given a snapshot of the scene, and that's what tarot is, snapshots. And based on the background effects. It's unclear whether it's depicting a before or after scenario of the goal or the aim of this group or individual. And how you would find out what that's about, watch my tutorials on Tuesday, how to combine cards, where you will find out the answer lays in the pairing of another card, i.e. we actually divide the deck up. We use the majors in one pile, minors in the other. We pull out the 5 of wands, and we then pull one from the major arcana, which tells us what this mock battle is about. And so I don't want to miss anything when we do that tutorial, because this is quite an interesting card and has many, many different meanings. As I said, 5 in tarot is always, some people see it as unlucky, but in actual fact it's always about some sort of upheaval or difficulties where we've got to tear things down and try and rebuild. But we can't do that unless we're listening to other people, which is what this card's about. And this scene is captured in high activity. The 5 wands are either coming together or they're being pulled apart. We don't know. Maybe they don't know. The figures are wearing outfits of varying colours and styles, which tells us a lot. This is significant. It's symbolising their different mindsets and personalities. There's no uniform going on here. There's no team colour here. And perhaps no common ground as a result of that. So whatever the situation is, or the argument or the challenge, they all appear to have a very different approach to how it should be sorted. That's why it's important to look at the symbology and the Rider-Waite to find out, what are we being told? Well, probably everybody's shouting at the same time, trying to make it impossible for anyone to hear what's been said from the individual. There's probably overinflated egos because this is very active, and each will attempt to force their view or their opinion or their idea upon others in an attempt to gain supremacy. Told you so. Each figure thinks they know best, and they want things their way. In their eyes, there can only be one winner, one champion, and it doesn't matter what the issue is. It's about standing your ground and going, you know what? I've got to come out of this as in with a victory, and that has to emerge from the group where we are asserting our full authority, and these people are commanding some sort of leadership going on here. So what started out as maybe a great sport could result in tears, especially if these figures are forced or they're getting pushy with their own agendas. Petty conflicts and disagreements can escalate into hostility or serious warfare, and by that I mean falling out, unless someone else can step in to calm the situation or assume control. Remember, it's in action, so it's not just about what somebody is thinking in their mind. It's very much to do with how somebody feels they will take action based on this. So this is an image which is showing the archetypal situation, an archetype situation of too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So everyone is too full of their own importance to think about the greater good. And it could get very personal, with opponents perceiving slight insults or blowing things out of proportion at every opportunity. Might not be physical injuries, but egos can take a beating. And the physical injuries depends on what card's next to it. And that's why I don't want you to miss anything next week, where we could really look at this and go, really? And so it doesn't mean somebody's going to beat you up, but it depends what card's next to it as to how physical this might actually get and what's the result of the consequences of this. You're standing up for yourself, or are you actually really beating somebody down so that they're not able to get back up and you're going to take the lead? And that's maybe what this is about. Depends, as I said, where it is in your spread. It also depends on your system, and it also depends upon what you pair it with. If you want to know more about that, go on to tarotwithannemarie.com, where you will find out all the courses, and that's what I specialise in, giving you a system so you're able to actually get those answers to the questions that nobody's ever showed you how to put it all together. So someone may be seeking some sort of rationalisation amongst this group. They need to retaliate and lash out at each other. It's human fundamental behaviour when things get too much. And here we can see the element of fire, overheating a situation or an issue. And fire is hard to put out in an uncontrolled environment. And it looks like very poor communication and lack of cooperation amongst this group. So mistakes are bound to happen. Now this could waste a lot of valuable time and energy, and might have to put out the fires after this to make sure that we have no disasters. There might be one amongst them who has the foresight to see that they're getting nowhere behaving like this. Surely one out of that crowd might find something to agree on. And it doesn't mean there's always got to be 5 people involved, of course, when we get this card. Number 5 is symbolic of a group of people, but it's very much about tearing things down, being in a place where difficulties, you've gone halfway through something, now you've got to take action. You're being forced to take action. You're being forced to stand up or give in. And a leader must be appointed or self-appointed. Might look like that. So whoever it is will need to be made a very strong staff, because they've got to be assertive but not forceful. They won't be dealing with a group of easily led or swayed people, because this group's got large egos, we can see that, and they may not be compliant. And he must also be popular with the group, not someone who raises their hackles or tries to lord it over them. So this leader must be ingenious and come up with something that others haven't thought of. So it's got to be an acceptable solution to all of the problems that they're facing, and something that's going to appeal to the masses. No easy feat. This person's got to know the group is full of bright sparks who've got some great ideas and plans, and he can only imagine the great things that they could do if they put their heads together and work as a team instead of backbiting or fighting or whinging. So there are wonderful qualities and talents being brought to the table, but it's a question of we've got to listen to everybody's point of view, and the creative possibilities of these groups is endless, but the competition is fierce. And now we've got the pettiness of their quarrels, and they are complaining about things that they find irritating and tedious. So compromise is the solution to any issues or disagreements between these figures, but that might be easier said than done. So they're going to need to listen to the needs and the ideas and the opinions of each other without jumping in or engaging in heated arguments, disagreements, or oppositions. Grievances need to be aired and heard, and if that's allowed, they might be quite surprised to discover that they've got a lot of common ground and something to work for the greater good. But with the noise and the uproar, they're not taking that time to listen, preferring to jump to conclusions instead. As I said, human behaviour, when we're rattled. So it's hard to be rattled, feeling, I'm not having it, I've got to say my piece, and no, I don't want to hear what you've got to say. But it's the actions from that. So it's not about conversations, everybody. This is about the action we take, So therefore, I'm going to block you, I'm going to fight you, I'm going to battle with you, I'm going to alienate you, I'm going to exclude you, I'm going to make life difficult, I'm going to have my say, I'm going to prove you wrong. Competition. Or actually, maybe I'm going to let you enjoy the victory because I'm seeing things from a different perspective. But this heat's come because nobody's listening. And so they need to understand that compromise does not equal failure. Compromise does not equal weakness or selling themselves out. It's a sign of maturity and open-mindedness, of having a balanced approach. And if they can manage this, they will grow and others will respect their integrity. So a peaceful end can be brought to the battle. And whoever manages to achieve this will no doubt emerge as the leader of the pack, the strong favourite here. If he or she has been fair to all, they will gain the respect from the group, the support, the loyalty from the others, who will happily work under their chief's guidance. Now, the green earth beneath the battling figures could be a sports pitch, but that doesn't seem to be any captain in charge of the team. And we've looked at their clothing. So at this point, no one knows which side they should be on. So they've all kind of run for the ball at the same time. No one's left covering the rest of the field. So this might be a bit of a practice or a warm-up if it is a game. And we can see that they are getting ready. And so this could be a card of let the games begin and may the best team win, or the best man. It's too late now for any nerves, as they've got to go out and fight to the bitter end. So this is about taking action, as I said. There'll need to be plenty of stamina to stay the course. We can all turn around and start blowing up flames, but can we sustain it? And can we then listen? And can we move from that point? And the expanse of earth symbolises the territory that is needed for them to fight, to protect, defend, or maintain what the project's about. There's plenty of land around, more than enough space for them all, but they're fighting over the same patch, which represents the opportunity. So it's not about territory, territory is usually about the opportunity. So they are fighting over that opportunity regardless. And we might see this plot as the best opportunity. So we're determined to secure it, because second best won't do. Once a champion has emerged and secured it, he will then go after the unconquered territory in the background. And there will always be more battles to fight. At present, the group battles in a kind of sports-like manner. They are all worthy opponents, and they're all good sports, happy to give as good as they get, and willing to take it on the chin if necessary. And this type of challenge can release pent-up energy, as I said in the beginning, keeps them fresh and invigorated. If we look, they're all standing on an equal footing. No one has seriously pushed to the front of the pack yet, but it won't be long until someone makes a break for it. Because the five figures may appear to be caught up in their individual aims, but it's likely that they're keeping an eye on each other, ready to move rapidly in case one of them wants to gain that advantage, which they will. And we will see this if it's a game or a challenge or a battle. It's accelerating rapidly, and remaining competitors will take the chase. If we were to stumble upon this scene in the Five of Wands, you might think someone's bound to get hurt, but adrenaline is running high. It would be some time before anyone would even notice or feel the injuries sustained, talking symbolically, okay? But, our actions can have consequences, and for those involved, it might fire their blood to sustain such a high level of challenge, but it will prove very stressful if they are allowed to continue indefinitely. And that kind of stress for others in their immediate environment is not healthy, and they won't be able to coexist with that. So there's a little chance for peace and harmony within this group in action as it stands. Now, the balance and teamwork of the 4 has vanished. We have that lovely structure in the 4 of Wands, and now it's every man for himself. So something's happened in our figures in the tarot for this to disturb that 4 strong wands that were planted really firmly on the ground that we saw in the 4 of Wands. Someone wanted to change the situation and the arrangements of those 4 wands by introducing a 5th, and perhaps that fell apart due to neglect. And that's how it goes in our lives, isn't it? We are in an equal ground, everything's going well, everything's consolidated, it's all peaceful, and then we go for the next stage because that's part of our growth, and then we go into some sort of mock battle, in this case action-based. Craving change, they might intentionally pick away at the foundations, hoping that they'll become loose or shaky. And the 5th one might have been introduced to prop them up and determine what might be done. The 5th one might stand out as different from the previous 4. It might be forceful, or an unwelcome visitor, or an uninvited guest arriving to disturb the peace. And it might invade the space of the original 4, causing shock, change and disruption. That's how life is. We get going, and as we get better at things, something extra is introduced, and sometimes that can lead to stability, like that 4 of Wands, and sometimes it can lead to a complete mock battle like we've got going on here. So this 5th wand has broken the perfect symmetry of that structure that we saw. It does remain to be seen what's going to be happening next and what it will be replaced with. So the 5th wand might be demanding, dictating changes that need to happen, and as I said at the beginning, want to reform and restructure. And that might be the centre of it. So if the figures dismantled from the previous 4 of Wands are without a plan for what happens next, there'll be a lot of uncertainty and instability and a lot of insecurities. So the 4 wands had beautiful shelter. It was a sanctuary, home, safe. And it looks like they may have left that exposed to outside elements and influences. So that we've now got 5 figures that have to get along. And the number 5 is a number of change. And that explains the chaos that we see in the scene. Perhaps change is badly needed though. And we can see that action taken is needed to initiate that change. Regardless of how wonderful we view things at times in our life, we grow tired of them when they remain static or they become outdated. So we now see figures enthusiastically throwing themselves and overturning from the old order in favour of the new. Some will, some won't. There's a need to alter, restructure, which is what this card's about. Reimagine, rework, rebuild. Hard of rebuilding, but not everybody agreeing. And it's like, we need to act. We have to do something. We cannot stay as it is. So the figures are bored with the look or the feel or the energy. And maybe it's become a thing of the past. We've outgrown it. It's old-fashioned. Then again, there might be no reason other than wanting change for the sake of change. There might be nothing wrong with the old, but that fresh extra step and perspective has become urgent and it's not been sorted out properly. And this card shows that the one's restless spirit and fiery nature is urging a shake-up of things for good or bad. So it's a bit like bringing in a demolition team, waiting to start. And they have really got to get this moving again. So this is a card that symbolises deconstruction, dismantling. The figures need to tear it apart and disturb the foundations and a rebuild. But they need to agree, because no one can change their mind when we start restoring whatever it was to its original glory. So the extra component, whether it was needed or not, change is inevitable. And some things can be undone and some can never be redone in the same manner. You know, nothing stays the same. The world doesn't, the weather doesn't, the government doesn't, the world, you know, and its battles, and all of that. It's all significant around us all of the time. Yeah? And it's hoped that the figures took this into consideration before they took action. The 5 figures strive to be in that place where they are testing what's going to happen, and they're prepared for all this upheaval during this period to get to rebuild. But they're tearing it down in the process of that, and things that may get damaged because it's become heated and it's careless, nobody's looking where they're going, and clumsiness, and probably leads to, you know, negligence or harm's been done. Maybe there is harm being done in action, not really trampling over others maybe. So we might be looking at blatant sabotage, or it might just be that several people need to throw a spanner in the works to see what they come up with. But this group are actually looking as if they're getting nowhere. Nothing happening, they're just fighting. Why? Is it because of setbacks? Is it because there's more to this than we know that meets the eye? As I said, but the clue to that, by using pairs, you will be able to establish what the problem is. And also in your system, in your spread, which I'm happy to teach you where to look, go on the courses, you can find out who is this, where is this happening, how, and when. This might have been in the past, this might be coming, this might be based on what's happened. We don't know. Just looking at one card, we just get it as if that's what we're looking at, and it's now. But that might not be the case. We need to put the story together. But we need to understand the alphabet of the cards in order to work with the system to find out more. So we can't just go and go, oh, it's awful. This might be, hang on a minute, something's happening at work and it needs to be sorted. And it's not going to be an easy one. You know, there are going to be arguments. Who do we want to actually succeed? What kind of competition is this? Everyone for themselves. And they'll all think they know best until they start listening to each other. So while it appears that they are striving in earnest, there may be one who works equally hard to scramble their progress, or even, as we know human nature is, try and sabotage the outcome because they're determined. They don't want it to go that way. So the individuals might be too busy and distracted with the task that they're involved with to notice that there might be some treachery amongst them. Maybe petty rivalry or jealousy could be a drifting factor into the scene. It might be someone's been very cunning and they planned it very well. They had a strategy. This might come from external sources and they're completely distracted, fighting amongst themselves. Might be somewhere much higher up in the ranks that's flying below the radar that we don't know about. That's where you'd find it in your spread with your other card. So their involvement might not immediately be obvious, or perhaps above suspicion. Nobody likes change. And this person might not wish to come out into the open, preferring to let others do their dirty work. You know, maybe we've got the devil card here pulling the strings, or we've got the Hierophant, you know, some sort of official matters, rulers, you know, the establishments, the hierarchy, pulling the strings. So this third party might be known to the group, might even be a close friend, family member, work colleague, partner, ex-partner. We need to look. I mean, we don't assume there's 5 people. It's 5 is the number of conflict, not battles, competition, this kind of thing. The suit that we are in is action. Something needs to change. This has got to be thrashed out so that we go in this direction or that. You've got to make a decision. You can't sit in this. So this is a card of bully type behavior. And quite often we can feel bullied into things. No? So, any questions so far? Okay, so instead of working towards compromise and tolerance, these figures might be beaten into compliance or even submission. They might have no say in the matter. They might toe the line or suffer the consequences. They might not want to engage on this aggressive level with each other. But it might be a case of they're coming at me and it's either kill or be killed. Oi, oi, oi. You see? So depending on the environment they work in, might also be under pressure to compete or battle amongst themselves, constantly pushing for more, pedaling hard. So scared of being left behind. So the 5 of Wands can simply represent a head that's flagging potential trouble as it's encouraging them to continue. We don't know who that person is. If there is such a person, it might be right amongst it. This is where I say to you, your spread is so important to find out what maybe is going on. This is a tutorial about this card and its imagery and what we are looking at and the meanings based on the symbology and the colours and the numerology and the scene. And it could it be that one of them is initiating or igniting the trouble, manipulation to fire tempers or attitudes. We know that people often do that. Could it be that already the leader of the pack's hiding amongst this group, inciting this rebellious behaviour, goading it? He might be the ringleader, and he might be the one that's leading his mob into this area. So this group is a pack, and they might be hunting together, and they might be appearing like a pack that's fierce and formidable, bully type behaviour, because they're together. But when singled out or separated, they might be weak. They might be all mouth and all show, and no substance underneath it. You know, Arthur Edward Waite, part of the Rider-Waite team, Pamela Coleman-Smith. Well, he alluded that this scene was one of mimic warfare. Just alluded to it. And suggested that it looks a lot worse than it probably is. And that those who engage, should I say, or become involved in this kind of fighting, don't actually mean intentional harm. So it's almost as if they're naive. You know, oh, I didn't expect that. Well, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah? It's simply the way in which the world operates and how one climbs to the top. Unfortunately, we see it all the time. You know, we see it in the playground, we see it in work, we see it in families. And so the individual figures expect it to be so. And so their opponents are looking at, you know, this is a worthy fight. And it's not a healthy battle. And they're probably aware that there's going to be a hollow victory because this can't continue, as I said. And this is a message that's ringing out loud and clear. And maybe they've gone, oh, well, you know what? If I can't beat them, I'll join them. And if you're not in it, you can't win it. And each wand is bearing the participants' fears of missing out on some action. Look at their clothes. It's telling you something. They're all individual and very unique. You know, we've got checks going on there at the back, in the middle. We've got that bright red or orange, whichever way you want to look at it. Nearly all of them have got some form of red or orange, either in their leg wear or their footwear. You know, it's best to be part of the game. But that's the way of the world. And we need to sometimes be part of that rat race, even if you're a very peaceful person. You know, you might, quite often, this is like the lioness. And what I mean by that is, oh, you can push me over and all the rest of it, but I'm protective mummy. I am the lioness, the mother, yeah? And you come up my cub, whoa, you ain't seen nothing. I won't fight for myself, but I will fight for my little one, my little cub, my pack, you know? And why? Because that's the way of the world. Protection, defensiveness. So it's the rat race. And this is like getting crabby in your daily commute, or the cutthroat competition that goes on with jobs, the saboteurs, or the promotions that's not fair, or the opportunities or the gains or successes, and of course, love. No one wants to get left behind, and everyone's prepared to fight at some point for something that they actually truly feel they need to fight for. And so it's boundaries of some sort, isn't it? You know? And so they're looking at every opportunity that they can get to actually have this happen. And so it's definitely the game of life, you know, and you just can't stand on the sidelines sometimes. No one, as I said, wants to, as Arthur E. Waite said, probably looks worse than it is, but it's human behaviour. Sometimes we go into mock battle, you know, actions, I'm just not happy with your actions, I don't want it to go that way, I need to turn around and do something. You know, sometimes this manifests itself in conservation, preservation, defensiveness, protectiveness. You know, you're not going to do that to that poor individual there, that's unfair. You're bullying them, you know, I'm going to fight you as well because I don't believe in that, whatever it is. It's competition of some sort. But we've got to look at it very carefully and go, this cannot go on. There's got to be an outcome here. So the 5 figures hold their individual Ace of Wands. Remember the Ace of Wands? This is each one of them going, here's my spark, here's what I've got to say, this is my idea, this is my way forwards, this is my new beginning, this is, look, the universe gave this to me, they gave me this opportunity and I'm going to make the most of it, and here I am. And what do you mean you've got yours? You know, and listen to me. You know, I don't want to listen to you. Listen to me, I'm talking. You're not listening, this kind of thing. And then it becomes action-based, and people say, is it physical? Sometimes yes, sometimes bullying can actually be the actions. So therefore, it does have consequences. Actions have consequences. You know, malicious thoughts, verbal nasty thoughts, you know, sticks and stones, you know, I break my bones, which is what this one is. But there's all this kind of, it's difficult. It's very difficult. Fives, look at the Five of Cups. Be morose, you know. Completely in a place of missed opportunities. I'm dwelling on what might have been or what was, and I don't want that. It's all where we're at odds with something. Five of Swords, at odds, you know, not easy. So here we have Five of Wands, and the five figures are really clasping that Ace of Wands as theirs. You know, a bit like, I got that medal, I got that, I want to ignite that fire. And so, it's not for the faint-hearted, is it? You know, some people say, oh, let them get on with it. It depends what it's about. There's a lot of courage and conviction that needs to be able to keep this going, this momentum. It's going to need that to stay in the game, to take it to the last pace. And each combat must believe that they've got a chance of victory. You've only got to ask a top athlete or sports person, and they'll tell you there is no point entering competition unless you intend to win. Yeah? The self-belief must be present. It's part of our human self. And we go, oh, I'm not like that. Something will stir you. Even if it's like, how dare you cut down that beautiful tree in the park or outside in my street? It's been there for, you know, I'm going to complain. I'm going to battle with you, you know. Or how dare you stop selling this, that, or the other. Oh, you're welcome. Hi, how are you doing? Lovely to have you along. I don't think we've seen you before. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, tutorial, that's what I'm here for. Give you the pieces that the books, I don't want to belittle anything. Yeah, I don't want to. But let me just say quite simply that we are taught tarot in this level. The books, the cards, the little white book that we get, or we did a little course, you know, I remember doing a course and she went, right, that's all the cards in 2 hours. I was like, you what? Yeah, all the ones are this, all the twos are this, and now you know, 1 to 10, go and have some lunch and we'll do the 22 matriarch arcana. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And reading on your intuition is great, but if you want to go further, that's what we're here for. And if you want to go further and you really want to go further and dig deeper, then this is the channel to be on, because this is where we're covering it, and the courses are there to get you. I can only do so much here. Wait till you see the courses. You know, they are full of all the things that where you go, hold on a minute, who is this in this card? How do I know who this is? I teach you that. Okay, I teach you how to identify. Or if someone says, where's Charlie? You know, I want you to look at Charlie for me. I want you to look at my ex. It's a system. And once someone shows you the system, it's easy. But what we need to do is know the alphabet. So you only need to know a little of this. What I mean is absorb it all, but you'll only need pieces of it. And that's where your intuition will tell you which bit to use. That's what it's about. Not just having one sentence and then going, get on with your intuition. If you've got a whole load of stuff, you'll go, something told me it was this bit. Because I connected it to that part of the system she gave me, and that's the piece of the puzzle that goes there. That's what I do, yeah? So thank you so much. It's lovely to see you, by the way. And please do make sure that you know where to find us, so subscribe or whatever it is, and look at the podcasts as in that I've gone from the beginning of the major arcana. We've done a tutorial like this on each card, so you really get a chance to go. And you can ask any questions while I'm here. We're running out of time, I know. I keep you a long time, but there's no point just giving you little snippets of what you could get on a PDF. Oh, yeah, I've got those too, if that's what you want. If you want to keep it simple, it's Tuesdays. If you want to keep it simple, I've got those things on the site for you. If you want to go deeper, I've got those. If you want to really go deep, I've got that too. That's what we're doing. Why? Because I want to, and because you asked me to. Not you personally, but I've been asked so much. It was like, okay, I had to do this 20, 30 years ago, and it kept coming, and it's like, it's just gone from in-person courses to did conference call courses, and it's gone to let's share it on YouTube and let's really go to town instead of just give you tidbits. I can give you tidbits too, we'll mix it up and anything you want, but we need to give you this as well. So history always shows there's always an underdog, isn't there? There's always a novice, there's always a competitor, and when that comes together it upsets the apple cart of the order or the play of how things work. And you know what? The underdog can end up beating all the odds or outdoing the favourites. So it's only by entering the rat race that one has any realistic expectation of succeeding or coming out on top. You've got to be in it to win it. I'm not suggesting you be a bully, but you've got to stand up for what your beliefs are. Sometimes, I never do that. You know what? If somebody comes and attacks your pack, family, whatever they are, your friends, that vulnerable group, that pretty tree that did nothing to anybody, you might turn around and get involved in this. And group come together and it's like, no, we're not going to handle it like that. Yes, we're going to go with it like that. It's human behavior. And then we go, ooh, what do we do now? There's consequences, of course there are. It disrupts things so that we rebuild. It may not be better, but it's change. So competing will improve their game. And if they work hard, they might stand that chance of getting the upper hand and maybe gaining superiority. That's how it's done. And if you keep throwing enough ones at it, some are bound to hit the point or hit the spot. Ones is actions, by the way. Yeah? So this is typical of ones' behaviour. They go for it. They don't give up. We don't see anyone sitting here quitting. It's not like the Five of Swords where they walked away to the sidelines looking dejected, or looking as if they're defeated. Like the Five of Swords, If you don't know where that is, go and look on the tutorials under the Five of Swords. It's under podcasts. So you go into podcasts, you get Learn Tarot, you can look at the combination of how to combine cards. Yeah, but I can only teach you tidbits on here. So if you must go down as a wand, they'll go down fighting. And who knows what the outcome might be. But they all look equally matched at this point, don't they? It's still anyone's game. In the image of the Five of Wands, we can also see a bit of fair play. And they're all giving as good as they're getting. It doesn't look like anyone's been injured here yet. Although individually they're seeking to be the supreme one, there are odds with each other, but they do have a collective understanding of what is acceptable behaviour and what is not, based on this scene. And there's certain rules that's maybe non-verbal, which they're abiding in, like sports. Yeah, and we see all the wands are actually brandished high in the air, not hitting each other deliberately, that we can see. Might be, that's the action, clumsy action. Oh, got in the way, but look, no, they want to win fair and square. This is about action. And so that once they've got to that point, no one will dispute the final outcome. So, it doesn't look like sports behaviour, but there is a dark side to everything. We know that. And that can be competition, jealousy, rivalry, cutthroat competitors. They can be prepared to do anything to win. In love, in work, in career, in, I want that property, or I want to be the one that gets chosen for that. I want to be leading this. A win is a win at the end of the day. And the end will always justify the means. So you might be doubtful of their ability to win by these tactics, but they're prepared to stoop low to gain that unfair advantage. We all have it in us, whether we want to recognise it or not. If we are sparked by something, I don't mean we go into this, but we get involved in battle, being in it to win it. I want to beat you at that speed, if you're running or racing, or you enter it to win it. And so they want success out of this, but there's no guarantee that this will be a way that's honourable to the one that earns it. We don't know that. Yeah? Ruthless ambition. We don't know. So this is where your surrounding cards come in. This is where my system comes in of how to read the one spread that will answer everything. One spread, no reverse cards, and going into depth like this and going, yeah. And so these characters are prepared to walk over anyone and everything to get to what they want. And they will leave footprints. People can find out what they did. Just say, you didn't play by the rules. They're not interested in teaming up with others or offering a helping hand. We are dismantling things. No, the old way, it's got to be dismantled. We've got to rebuild. My plan's better. I believe it should be this. That's what it is. And in this manner, we can see the closed approach of the 5 as it narrows down to a pinpoint. And so we can see self-importance, maybe conceitedness. Look at the imagery from one person's perspective of the figures in the 5 figures. They are conflicting aspects within themselves as well. That raging battle comes from within us as well. And it highlights that internal struggle. So it might not be at others. We might be doing this to ourselves. The conflicting feelings, bit of the devil I know. I hate myself for doing that. Why? Oh, there I go. I said yes again. I should have said no, but what can I do? I don't want them to not like me. I have to do it. I don't feel like I've got a choice. And it's about the attitudes and the ideas that lead us to be agitated and confused. So it can be different aspects of ourselves, personas of ourselves. They're there. And we need to battle within ourselves. So it may not just be with other people. You would know this in your position. Let me give you a clue. If this came up in the self and it came up with a hermit, you're going within. That's what's happening. And you may be looking at the opposing forces within yourself, battling against the problematic changes. I hate myself. I said yes to them. I didn't this. I didn't stand up. Oh, I should have, they were really mean to so-and-so. I didn't do anything. I didn't act on it. I didn't this. Or there are, I needed the problem needed resolving, and I stepped in because I'm good at it and they expected me to. And why is it always me? We can have those kind of battles, but it's about our actions. And, we can feel all over the place and at odds with our feelings and the environment and the circumstances and the background effects that go on around us. And we need to seek change, but it might come at a cost. We're scared of the consequences. We're scared of things not being the same. A person might not want to be my friend. They might not want to speak to me. There might be a change in the arrangements of how life is. And that's what we're worried about. That's what we're scared of. That's what we fear. Or we go, bring it on. You know, arrogance. But are we really ready for it when we say that? So change can be opposed by others. If we don't deal with these battles, we're simply maintaining the status quo. And so we've got to look at the ones that, you know, these figures are prepared to look at petty arguments and trials that stand in the way of them getting about their business. Of course, it would be nice to walk away and actually think that, you know, I'm burdened by the demands of daily living and those, and we've got no obligation, and, you know what, I live on a mountain and nothing affects me. Believe me, I live in a mountain and it does affect you. Yeah, there are things around. I'm not a hermit, but I'm just saying. My dad's saying to me, you know, Emery, oh my God, you're living in a village. What are you doing? I've come from the village. You'll find jealousy and this and that and the other. And I didn't get involved in it, but unfortunately, I can see the toxic sort of dynamics that come and go over the years. And of course, this can represent people in our life, neighbours, customers that annoy us, guests, clients, get in the way of what we want to do when we're trying to do our job. If they'd only go away and leave us to it, we all feel like that at times. Stress. Everyone's demanding, everyone wants us to deal with them first, everyone assumes that they're more important, and worst of all, we usually get rattled like this because of a sense of entitlement coming from other people, where that makes us go, whoa. And so, yeah, it's a card that can be going on inside of us. Do not think this is nasty bully boys. We can be the thing. You know, and when we look at that and we go, ouch, okay, I'm scared of the consequences. Don't be, because you've sometimes got to tear it down. I know that's easy to say, but you've got to look at it and go, what's the strategy of this? What's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? And yeah, we're expected to be here, there, everywhere, all things to everyone, all at the same time. And it's wearing, exhausting. And if we complain or we're disgruntled, people say, what's the matter with you? And they're all tempered with us. So sometimes we get like this. And so this might be boisterous children, needy family, demanding partners, nosy neighbours, friends that it's a one-way street relationship and you're going to go, I don't want to do this anymore. And sometimes you just got to have a boundary, and sometimes you've got to just turn around and go, you know what? I've got to think, what's going to be the outcome? This can't stay like this. It's not healthy. It needs to be, something's got to change. And I've got to, you know, the competition might be you actually say to that person, no, I'm not doing you that favour. It could be as simple as that with this card. You could be against everything, like being on a treadmill all day or chained to it, from morning to, midnight. These demands can cause your vital energy to actually go, I cannot sustain this level of physical exertion. Excuse me, I'll have a sip, I'm nearly finished. You can't keep that going indefinitely. How could you? So it depends. Don't assume. You know, people go, oh, can't have been bullied, oh, it's this, it's that, mock battles, yeah. That's it. Challenges. Yeah, I think it's your career because it's one's, yeah. Or if you move in house, it's that. It's not just that. It's the battle of everything. Battle, you know, to keep the peace, to actually say, You know, sometimes it's like, hey, listen to this, listen what's on the news. And sometimes you might need to say, please just let me have my peace and quiet. I don't want to hear it. I'm not in the right space. Could be as simple as that. And they're going, no, you need to know, you need to know. And you're like, I don't need to prove that to you. I've asked you not to. And this is where you might go into a battle. And yeah, you might feel that it takes a lot of energy to actually say, I need my peace and contentment in my space, within my group, whether it's your family, whether it's your workplace, because it can be so hard for all that energy to just keep draining your battery, your vital life force energy, and your resources. You know, what can stimulate one person can totally wear another one out. You know, perfect example, I'm water. My partner, he's fire. You know, and but it water puts out fire, by the way. Not that I win. I'm not saying that. Not at all. But he has a sense of urgency, and I love that. It's why this, you know, people go, I don't know how you two are together, you're so different. I don't want a mini me as a partner. I want someone totally different. I want somebody that's going to go, boom, make me see things from a completely different perspective, even if I don't agree. I know sometimes you do have to stand your ground. And so variation is key. When the 5 comes up and things start fluctuating and it becomes unpredictable, and then we go, oh gosh, we're now becoming uncompatible, and our arrangements are going to get rearranged. Might be harder to understand that, you know, maybe that change is necessary. So the scene in the 5 of Wands can be any of that. It can be your friends, it can be your family, it can be your partner, it could be your neighbours, it could be the council and you disagree, or the politics, or your MP, or, you know, a lack of fairness that you actually go, I cannot stand by and see this person bullied. Or it might be you and what you do to you every day, where you go, just easier to do it. I can't bear to ask other people. Well, maybe you just need to say, you know what, if it's not done, it's not done, I don't care. You know, I'm sorry, this is my boundary. Where you then go, that was a lot easier to go, what's the worst case scenario? You'll lose them, they won't ask you, they won't be your friend. Maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? Yeah? So, yeah, it can be the petty squabbles and the disagreements and the in-house fighting. We have a tendency that causes tension and disruption within a certain group or in our environment. It's unsettling. And like fire, it can be refueled because an extra thing comes in. You know, we pour petrol on it, we throw wood on it, the air comes in. And so this quarrelsome bunch could be our family, our friends, our neighbours, our college mates, work, or troubled relationships. Or good, healthy relationships where you suddenly go, there's this certain situation, we need to have a heated debate. And so this could be a normal everyday dynamic in a group at work. You know, oh, she likes it. Quite how many people have worked in an environment and it's like, we have to do it like this. She's a bit picky about how it's done. And yet you've worked and done it for years and you didn't have to, I don't know, fold things in a certain way or file things in that box or make sure that you did it this way or that way because woe betide you if you didn't, you know? It might be, why are you so fussy and you affect so many people? Do you know what? They bend over backwards for you and you're not even nice to them. You might get to that point where you actually say that to somebody in the family, somebody you work with. That's an example of this card. Where you, it's not just verbally going, oh, no, yeah? Or, oh, you lash me down with the words. This is, hang on a minute. we're dismantling this. We're not doing this way anymore. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're not doing that. That's what this card's about. And so it's about airing grievances, dislikes, dividing and taking sides. It's just natural that we create a situation. It's called growth, and it's scary. But it's also better than just not experiencing life at all. And despite anything that we fail to get resolved, no one's prepared to back down. And so, yeah, some people can't just get on with that, and perhaps won't even try. You know, life can become harder than necessary, and we need to seek peace. And sometimes, like unruly children, these trying ones could need constant supervision, or we need to just say, this is getting out of hand. So we've got to referee this, and that's where that clear blue sky symbolises the need for peace through communication. There's no clouds in that sky, so when we've got clouds, we've got a lack of clarity. So there's no clouds, so the situation is not as bad as it's made out to be. And the battle looks worse than it actually is. But it could be about our boundaries, and somehow we got caught up in the drama of life. And we've got to keep going. And there might be nothing to fight about when all is said and done, except for the sake of battle. Perhaps it's a form of habits, you know, behaviour those people can be. But sometimes, as battles, we need to think outside of the box of what this card could look like. You know, sometimes we might say, you know what, why do you need to be so fussy? Why do you need to be so difficult? Why do we need this much drama, this much fuss? Why do we have to have that? You might be that person that says that to you or to people around you. Or they say it to you and you go, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit like it made me feel safe and it felt as if I was in control. And through the communication, you'll probably turn around and make some differences. And of course, this could be a card of suggesting that tempers are firing in all directions as well. We've got to look at that. It's like children unsupervised in the schoolyard. And yeah, it can be like competition and rowdy scenes. You know, we can all step out of line once in a while because we get enthusiastic and passionate and ambitious. And without that, we're not taking action to actually grow, to get life changed. But sometimes we can find ourselves, either we lack the skills or the people around us in the collective have a self-belief that they can do it, but maybe they lack the skills too. And maybe sometimes mayhem needs to be struggled to find, you know, something where you can grow and learn on the job, if you like, and stick with that, and eventually you might get some incredible results. So the scene in the Five of Wands is very much, you know, one of those of a gathering of individuals who are quite skilled and do want to lend their experience to one another. Okay, so each element probably has its own path and destiny to fulfill. You know, but remember that this is the element of fire, and therefore it's about the activity and the continued progress of growth in our lives. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Quick reminder, if you want to actually watch these tutorials, if you're new here, you'll find them here. Yeah, that's my Learn Tarot podcast, and there you go. That is the podcast of Learn Tarot, and you'll find it on my YouTube channel. And so, oh, hey, thank you so much. You're very, very welcome. I'll call you A. Okay, you're very welcome. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. UK time. I say that because we are in British summertime in the UK, 5 p.m. when the clocks change and we go back to GMT, which will happen in the last weekend in October. We'll still be 5. So just go for UK 5 p.m. and look it up, and that's when we're on. Yeah? Where can you find my podcast to listen to? And you can find it on the YouTube channel, Kamala. That's where you can find it, sweetie. Thank you so much for asking. Let me show you that again on the YouTube channel, Tarot with Marie. So if you look that up right next to me, tarotwithmarie.com, go onto the YouTube, come out of Facebook. You won't find anything there. I can never find what I've done on there, and I've done things on Facebook for years. So go into the YouTube channel, tarotwithmarie.com. Oh, absolutely welcome. Thank you so much for asking. No, my pleasure. And, join us on Tuesday when I show you how to combine cards. I do teach the courses. And you're very welcome to go and look at that. Courses are very simple. They're on my website. Digital courses. You can go and look at them anytime you want to. Choose what you want. Do you want to study Minor Arcana? You choose the swords. You choose the court cards. Or you actually go for intermediate to learn how to do it with the system. But what I offer on here is the things that I feel are missing. I've led a team of tarot readers, psychics, clairvoyants, mediums for the last 30 years. I've taught this for 20, 30 years. I can't remember which, but I've been reading professionally for that amount of time. And quite simply, interviewing people, it was clear that it was somebody's taught you the ABC of tarot and we don't know how to put it together, and they've only taught this, and you kind of go, I feel a bit silly that I didn't know that. You shouldn't. There's a system. And that's what I'm here to do, to share it with you. And if you want to go tinsy tiny, little bite-sized sort of keywords, that's what we'll do. I do a little bit of everything so that those that want to go beyond that can choose that. And those that actually want to go further can keep growing if that's what they want to do. And, quite honestly, if you do want to be a tarot reader or develop your spiritual work, you want to know all this and kind of go, yeah. And by knowing it, then your intuition will just bring you that information when you look at that card. That is actually how it works. But there is a system. And that's what I think we just feel, gosh, I was just left, just left to it. And I know that. And so people asked me to do it. And that's why I did it. Brought it onto YouTube. Hope you like it. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe to the channel and press the notification, and then you'll be alerted when we're on. And do watch the podcast. Thursday is about like this. We take one card, we study it. Tuesday, we're studying this card and how to combine it when we get another card next to it. So exciting. Okay? And of course, it's the wrong time somewhere in the world. So I do actually edit it out and show you the slimmed down version of a live tutorial by editing that and put it on a podcast so that you don't have to see all the live stuff, as it were. Nice to meet you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your company. Have a beautiful weekend. Take care of yourself and each other. And till next time, bye for now.